Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about paying for travel and how to properly pay for travel. So everybody knows that you pay for travel with money. That's the obvious one. Well, what else do we pay for travel with, right? There's one other thing that most people will understand that we pay for travel with, and that's time. We pay for travel with time, okay? Well, there's one more thing, and that's the entire point of today's video, is we should pay for travel with one more currency, and that is stress. We should pay for travel with stress. All right, so I'm talking about this today because I traveled this last weekend into Philadelphia from the suburbs, and I had to travel back to the suburbs. And I did that by paying with stress, right? And so I'm going to talk a little bit about why I think paying for travel with stress is a good thing to do, right? So when you're going to travel, there's three, and I was thinking about this because this situation happened to me recently. When you are traveling, there's three ways to travel, okay? That I believe there's three ways to travel. The first one is not to travel. Don't. So the first way to travel is don't travel, okay? And I think a lot of people make this choice. They're like, travel is time-consuming, costs money, and is stressful. And honestly, I will tell you right now, I think every single one of those is 100% correct and all true, okay? And so they say, I'm not going to travel, and many people don't travel, okay? So that's one way to travel. Don't, okay? The next one is to travel with full cost, travel essentially with full cost, which is time, money, and stress, okay? That's the way I travel, and that's the way I'm saying you should travel. Now let's talk about one more, okay? That is traveling stress-free, right? So how do you travel stress-free? Well, you can travel stress-free if you don't care about time, right? You can really super lower your stress by just not caring about time, right? And taking all the time in the world to do your travel, okay? Now, I will say this, that will cost you more money, because you have to stay in hotels longer. You have to, if you're waiting somewhere, you're more likely to have to eat out rather than eating at home. That's going to cost more money, right? So you can travel stress-free by increasing the amount of money you're paying and increasing the amount of time you're investing. And then much, much, much lowering your stress, right? Now that all sounds awesome, right? But here's the issue. The problem is Kelly McGonigal. So Kelly McGonigal is a brilliant, brilliant TED talker, and I believe she's a researcher as well, and I think she's So she's a highly educated TED talker, and she recently did a brilliant TED talk that said, guess what? Lower stress does not equal lower happiness. And this is something they found, that the countries in the world that had the lowest stress did not actually have the highest amount of happiness. And the reason why is one of the things we get from stress is, generally if we have stressful lives, because we're achieving things and we're getting things done and we're pursuing goals and we're failing at those goals. And, so science is starting to show us, and this all comes from Kelly McGonigal, that lower stress does not actually always equal lower happiness or does not always equal higher happiness. Lower stress does not always equal higher happiness. Yeah. Okay, that's 100% clear. Said that correctly now. All right. So here's the case. So this weekend, I went into the city, into Philadelphia, with someone, and me and that person were traveling. And so we were brought into the city by someone who drove us in, and the drive-in was, was someone I know, wasn't a taxi or anything, and they just dropped us off in the city. And the reason why is I absolutely, it's a Scott Garibay principle, you do not pay for parking, period. It drives me crazy. I won't do it, right? comes from my bicycling that, I really am big into bicycling. And so it's one of these things where it's just attached in my head. I just absolutely hate paying for parking. So I do a lot to avoid it. So what happened was, so the trip in was smooth, and we were just dropped, a block away from Rittenhouse Square. Rittenhouse Square is a beautiful historical park in the middle of Philadelphia. Me and this other person, we did the event. Everything went great, okay? And then when the event was done, we're like, okay, time to go home, right? Now, since we were driven in, we didn't want that person to have to come all the way back out, so we were going to take the regional rail back to the suburbs, okay? Now, I said, hey, I'm a modern, smart person. I have a smartphone. I can get this done, right? So I just pull out my smartphone, hit the GPS, and it goes, you are in Rittenhouse Square. If you walk to Suburban Station, you can catch a train in 29 minutes, right? So, to the person I'm with, I'm like, bet, let's go. We're going to roll out, right? So I had about 10-minute variance, right? So we hoof it, right? And honestly, it was a little stressful for the person with me because we had to walk quickly, and we were like just buzzing it, to get there, right? Well, when we got there, it was, SEPTA. That's the regional, that's the public transport in Philadelphia. Well, SEPTA's fine, right? But the reality is, it's an urban public transportation place, and we had to get to the right railway track, right? So we're running around, and it's one of those things where you go down this hallway, and you can't get there from here, and you got to go back up, then you got to go here, and and the other thing is, I'd never been in this spot in the city, so we spent like 10 minutes running around, desperately trying to find this railway, this railway entrance to the exact train we needed, and not to the ones that we didn't need. And so, it was just, at that point, I was like, oh man, I gotta find this place, right? And I was really stressed, right? And I will also, I'll confess there was a curse word said, right? It was very stressful. But that train came, and we were there 2 minutes before it came, and we got on the train, and we went back. Now, that saved us an hour and 15 minutes there at the park, waiting there, right? Now, here's the issue, right? We had had a long day, and I was hungry, right? And we went out to eat as soon as we got home. And I live in the suburbs, and we went to Qdoba, and it was a very nice meal for $10 for me and the person who traveled with me, right? Whereas in the city, that wasn't gonna, you're not gonna get a $10 meal in the city, and that's if we could even have found something, you know what I mean? Like, because we were we're down in the depths of a train station, you know what I mean? So the issue is, if I had stayed, it would have cost me more time and more money, but no stress, right? And so, that was the question, was how was I going to travel? Was I, it was really, it really was a test of this travel process, right? Which was, do I not go into the city because it's such a pain in the butt to get in and out, right? I didn't choose that. I'm Scott Garibay, man. I don't let the world defeat me, so then the other one was, do I go in and do I pay more money and more time and have less stress, right? Well, it's just not the way I'm wired, right? I have a wife and 4 kids, and my wife loves me, and I love my 4 kids, and I don't want to give up that hour, and so that, with them and doing another thing, and it's just not how I'm wired, right? And so I really believe that, so the way that I chose to pay for travel that day was to pay with stress. That stress saved me time and money, right? And I feel like just fundamentally as Americans, we, this whole world speed is king. And that's just not American. That is the world, right? The Mongols conquered the world, half the world, because their horses were hecka fast, and they were just super mobile and super fast, right? And this world, man, speed is king, right? I work in IT, fail fast, and I really feel like, with travel, you got it. These are the three options. Don't travel, pay with stress, or pay with more money and more time. And I really feel the right mix is pay with time, money, and stress, right? And lower your time and your money costs by incurring more stress. And I wouldn't have said that as easily before I heard Kelly McGonigal's TED Talk that said lower stress does not equal higher happiness. It's a brilliant, brilliant TED Talk, and it informs my opinion on travel and my recommendation to you, which is pay for travel with stress. Take care.